The show, and thanks for having you on this show as well.
Yeah, no worries, man.
And man, before we get into the new Australian tour, we'll go back a little bit. We go back about 2 years ago. You were here in Australia for the Soundwave tour, and also you went up on stage for a couple of shows with Judas Priest. I want to ask, just quickly off the top of the show, how was that experience for you, not only doing the festival side of things, but also going up on stage, performing in front of a live audience before Judas Priest, so to speak?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we've done the Soundwave Festival like a few times now, so we kind of knew what to expect with that. And yeah, that's always really fun. I mean, we're always happy to come over there because it's always gets us out of the crappy winter over here. And playing, Judas Priest was cool too because we're all big fans of that band. You know, it's a classic band. And we actually the first gigs we ever played with DragonForce was supporting Rob Halford on his solo album, like back in I think it was like 2001 or something like that. So we were like, oh, yeah, all right, mate, here we are again, like 15 years later. And he was like, yeah, I remember you guys. So that was cool.
And I have to admit, when you guys played here in Adelaide, it was a stinker, scorching hot day. You basically came on just before the sun was setting down, and it was a hot day. And I am thrilled to see you perform in 42-degree heat in our summer. That was just superb for you guys.
Well, we were like pretty much dying. I mean, it could have been worse. So, yeah, like you said, I think the sun was going down a bit by then, But yeah, like we never complain because it's like it's either that or be stuck in the winter in England, which is definitely worse.
Yeah. Well, Sam, DragonForce been quite busy over the last 2.5, maybe 3 years. You brought out before Soundwave, you brought out a studio album which floored the world by storm. It actually took off. Then you released a live double album. Not live double album, but a live CD, DVD compilation of that tour up in Japan. Now you're bringing out a new album called Reaching Into Infinity, which is coming out in May, and then you're coming back out to Australia in June, July. So everything is going around full circle. But I want to ask, leading up to this new album, how did you and Herman continue on with the way that the backbone, that what I mean by the backbone of DragonForce style is to play fast and to play crazy fast solos. So how did you and Herman collaborate together? And also, secondly, was there any plan of attack compared to the Maximum album? Because you did do a couple of daring things on that last studio album, like you put in The Ring of Fire, which was a Johnny Cash song. Was there any daring elements or plans that you and the band wanted to put into this album compared to the last album?
Well, we just kind of, like, we've been doing it for like 15 years or something now. We've been making a living at it for like 10, I guess. So, I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost become like a job now, but like obviously a really fun job that we love doing, which is, so we never like stop to like appreciate that. But yeah, no, it was just kind of like, oh, well, let's do another album because, you know, you can't, unless you're like Metallica or something, you can't really just sit around on your ass doing nothing for 4 or 5 years. Otherwise, you know, like you've got to go get a real job. So, so yeah, we just kind of like do another album. For writing the songs, like Fred, our bass player, he's been quite involved in it on the last 2 albums. Like the first 5 albums, I would do most of it on my own. But now, after writing 5 albums of fast 200 BPM songs, you start to like gets a bit more difficult to think of ideas. So Fred's been helping me out a lot, and he did a lot on this album. So so that's kind of what's given. If there's anything new that people can hear, it's probably kind of his influence. And then we sort of like there's a thrash kind of sounding song on the album, which is, and Mark's the vocalist. He's doing a lot of different styles of vocal. He's doing some death metal, growling, shouting, whatever you call it, which actually sounds pretty cool. Like we were like, oh, we don't want to do that if he doesn't sound good, but he actually he does it pretty well. We did a cover of a Death song, and Death the band. he sounds really cool on that, so people can check that out. And but yeah, as far as kind of just the way we kind of write the stuff now, it's kind of, we've all got our own routine. We all do our stuff at home. We send in solos to the guy in the studio in Sweden, and it's pretty much the same as the last album, really.
Yeah, and all hats off to you and the boys as well. And also, with the way that the world is at the moment, with a lot of crazy things going on in the world at the moment, with the new president of America and Brexit in England and all of that, it's all of that collaborate together with all the craziness that's going on in the world to create the name of the album, which is now reaching into the infinity.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess you can kind of, I think, well, with music, you just kind of, we're not really going to write a song about, like, the election or something. So I guess you can kind of, the music, if people are really that bothered about what's happening in the world, they can listen to our music and maybe escape from it for a bit. I mean, personally, I don't really care what's going on unless it affects me, which it kind of doesn't. So, but, like, I guess if someone's really bothered about Donald Trump being the president, they can listen to DragonForce and maybe it'll make them happy. I don't know. But yeah, depends how deep and meaningful you want to be. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's just kind of, we're just having fun playing music we like.
I mean, going back into the 80s, before we continue on with the album, going back into the 80s, no matter what was recorded, whether it was a thrash metal band or a hard rock glam metal band, nothing was that offensive back then. But you fast forward 30-odd years into today's society, everything is put underneath a microscope. So I want to ask, when you actually go into a studio, you don't care about what the society might think about your material content? Because a lot of people nowadays are easily offended. They put themselves in a criteria, so to speak, and they're looking for equal opportunity. How do you guys put your head around that when you see all this craziness out in the modern world, so to speak, and then you say, hey, guess what? Who gives a hoot about what's going on? We're just going to create music as much as we enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess for us it's not a huge problem because, like, we're not very offensive anyway. Like, we don't really have any swearing or anything in that. And we actually thought about, well, maybe we should put some swear words in our songs, but it doesn't really sound right singing swear words along to, like, a happy, nice melody of a power metal song. So, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, though. Like, people definitely get offended pretty easily these days. But at the same time, like, I think that's pretty dumb because you don't have to listen to whatever. Like, I like lots of offensive music. It doesn't mean that, like, it's wrong. Just like entertainment, really. But yeah, I mean, as far as we're concerned, like, I mean, the only people that get offended is people that might think we're a bit crap. But, like, they don't have to listen to it. So, no, it doesn't really mean a big problem.
Yeah. Going back to the album, you also had a bit of a lineup change as a new drummer that came into the fold. DragonForce over the years in their career have also had many lineup changes as well. But having a new drummer on board, how did that bring the new sound to the new album?
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it kind of sucks changing members, but at the same time, you have to just kind of get on with it and, like, say, well, okay, well, our old drummer didn't want to do it anymore, so you can't be too bummed out about it, and you just have to kind of embrace it a bit and say, well, okay, cool, we got this new guy and he's really amazing, and it's going to bring something fresh to it in a way. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we love his drumming style. That's why we chose him, and it's cool to see because he's all like really enthusiastic about everything. Still, I mean, we still love doing it ourselves. Obviously, we've done 5, 7 albums now, so it's not quite as exciting as it was on the first one.
Yeah.
So it's cool. He when you see him listening back to the recording, oh man, this is amazing. And like, yeah. And so it almost makes us realise, actually, no, this is still really cool. We're not, it's not like totally, some bands when they get older it gets a bit boring or whatever. And we were like, oh, I hope we're not we don't want to end up being like that. But sometimes when we start to think, oh well, we've done this like enough times before now, but then you see someone new come along and they're like, oh, this is amazing, guys, this is cool. Then that, it keeps us kind of feeling good about it too.
Yeah, and that what leads me to the next question is, when Frederick joined the band, it would have taken a bit of time for him to get used to being that front man of the band, so to speak, due to the history that DragonForce got. So the question I want to ask, how well did that gel on you and Herman, knowing that Frederick was coming in, being the new guy, so to speak, but now a new album's coming out in May, you've got another new member, so basically the label of the new guy, so to speak, has now been taken off Frederick and put onto the drummer.
Yeah, well, it's quite weird. We were saying the other day, actually, that it's going to be, after this album, he's done like 3 albums singing with us, and on the next one, our old singer Zippy only did 4, so he's almost equal to that now, which is pretty crazy to think, because it's like the first few years of your band always seems like a long time, but like the last, since Mark joined, seems like really, the time goes really fast. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, everything seems good. Like, we're all pretty happy. We all like each other still. So he is singing, definitely getting better and better all the time. So yeah, it's pretty cool, really.
Yeah, and like I said, all credit for you guys to look after the new member, because it must be frustrating not in a sense of, oh, we've got to teach the guy new material and all that, but I'm saying it's got to be a little bit frustrating from the general critics out there. I'm not a critic, I'm a fan of DragonForce, so I look at all areas. I don't care if someone comes in, someone comes out, the music is first and foremost. But it must be so frustrating for you guys when people criticise the band changing members and then therefore changing the sound because of a new member or a new input has come into the band. Do you ever look at it that way?
Yeah, well, there's not much you can do about it, really. Like I said, if someone wants to leave the band, you can't really force them to stay in it. So you just have to kind of get on with it. But I think as long as me and Herman are there, it's not going to ever change too much. I mean, like with the new drummer, I mean,
yeah,
his style is a little bit different to our old drummer, but it's still basically the same songs. Like, because it's still me and Fred writing most of the music. So, and then obviously the singer's going to make it sound a bit different, but that's not much you can do about that. Some people like the old singer better, some people like the new singer better. But I mean, I like them both pretty equally, actually. So hopefully there's enough people out there with the same as me. But yeah, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, you can't expect everyone to like everything. So if people don't like us, well, that's fair enough. I don't like loads of bands either. So yeah, can't complain.
I know there's a lot of gamers out there that would like me to ask this question to you, Sam. But would DragonForce ever think of recontributing a song to Guitar Hero? Because you've done 2 of them in the past. Will you ever consider doing any more in the future? Yeah, I mean, well, it's not really a matter of if they want to pay you some money for a song, then yeah, why not? There's no reason, you might as well. So I don't even know much about what's going on with Guitar Hero these days, but yeah, no, we're always happy to put our song on anything, really. I mean, as long as it's something we really don't like. But there's no harm in having one of your songs on something that's going to make more people hear it, and then you get a few more fans, and then you can keep going for a bit longer. It's all about getting new fans. Otherwise, if no one likes you anymore, then you got to go get a normal job, which is our main goal to not have to do. So if we can be on Guitar Hero 10 or whatever, yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, I love playing games and that on computer when I can, but most importantly, when a band like DragonForce or Metallica or Van Halen, for instance, bring out a Guitar Hero type of tune, I whack it on and have a bit of a jam and whatnot. I play like Def Leppard because my right shoulder's a bit dodgy at the moment for surgery in 2 weeks' time, so I'm playing like Rick Allen with the opposite arm. So it's all good. But 11 tracks on the new album, start to finish, is top full of pure DragonForce of what we know. But the statement that I got out of this album was that, you know, you're reaching into infinity, then it goes straight into the ashes of the dawn and judgment day. But right down the very bottom of that album, the last song, Our Final Stand, that for me is like more of a battle cry. Would you agree with that, Sam?
Yeah. I mean, that song's actually, it's about like sort of samurai warriors in Japan or something, I think it was. I didn't write the lyrics on that, but like, but yeah, it's about that, and it just felt like a good ending to the album. You know, it's kind of got quite a nice sort of uplifting feel to it, and yeah, so that's kind of what it's about. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know which song there'll be a circle pit. I reckon all of them could be a circle pit. I mean, just having a look at you guys at Sound and Wave here, and then saw you guys perform overseas in some of the other festivals via live stream, I cannot pick one song that there will never be a circle pit. I mean, Through the Fire and Flame, you can put a bonfire in the middle of a circle pit and then everyone's dancing around it, so...
Yeah, well, people are enthusiastic enough to do that, then we're not going to complain. I'm too old to go do a circle pit myself now, but like, people want to do that, that makes you feel better. At least, you know, they appreciate it.
Well, looking at it from a hindsight, I want to ask you a good question here, and taking away from DragonForce, so to speak. When you look at the golden era bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and so forth, that's been around for almost 40 years, when you see them retiring, I mean, last year we just saw, or earlier this year we just saw Black Sabbath perform their last gig up in England. But when you pull the curtain back and you see all these bands can't continue on for whatever reason it may be, because they've been around for too long and whatnot, do you see anyone else stepping up to the plate and taking the mantle, so to speak, or is it going to be a period of time where there will be a bit of a dry period, and then hopefully the music industry can start reproducing bands like they were back in the 80s, or is that time all gone now?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see, because like people were wondering about sort of 5 or 10 years ago. They were saying, well, who's going to headline the festivals and stuff, and you can kind of actually, just in the last few years, you kind of can see like, you can see like Avenged Sevenfold is kind of, they're kind of, definitely that's one band, you can see they're kind of, I don't think they're very good, to be honest, but whatever. But that's like, they'll start headlining festivals now, and also you can see some of the younger bands, they actually are kind of getting into that slot now. So that's kind of how I look at it, is who's at the top of the bill on the festivals. And you know, like traditionally it was always one of the older bands, but like now you can see someone like them actually are kind of like moving into that place, and so I guess that probably will be like the future headliners. I mean, maybe when, you know, something like Linkin Park, they've been around a long time, but they're still really popular, and they all kind of headline festivals. Rammstein, so there is kind of a new generation of bands, even though those guys are all still kind of old. They're not as old as like Iron Maiden or Sabbath or stuff like that. But no, I think you will. The way I usually say, yeah, you just look at a festival lineup and people kind of move up the bill over the years.
I mean, going on to that point also, it says still that demand for new material as well, because back in the old days, the record labels were constantly demanding new material to come out frequently, like in between tours, so to speak. I want to ask, is it still a high demand for DragonForce now, like it was back when it started, or do you go on your own time now that's a bit more steady now, we can have a bit of a break in between tours and then go into the studio? Is there still that high demand for new material from the record labels and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess if you don't do anything, if you want to have a break for 4 years, the record label can't really force you to do something. But I mean, it's in a way, it's more about like at your own level. Like you can't, like unless you're like Metallica or something. I mean, for us, it's like a job. So like, if you don't bring anything out for 4 years, you kind of find that the money starts, the money coming in starts to slow down a bit. You know, not like, so you can't really sit around on your ass forever. So I mean, it's more like that really. Like you kind of have to be making a living out of can't wait too long. And there's no reason not to. I mean, we still like making music anyway, and we don't really want to sit around at home doing nothing for 3 years because it just gets boring. We'd rather be out touring around the world and having a good time. So it's kind of that's probably the main two reasons, is that we like it, and you kind of need to do music to keep yourself going.
Well, it's good news you are coming back to Australia in June off this new album, Reaching into Infinity. Unfortunately, you're not coming to Adelaide this time. I know someone from the DragonForce camp had posted a comment on the Facebook page saying due to arenas or whatever, the venues are not ready or suited at that time that you're coming to Australia. But the question I keep getting from the fans here in Adelaide, would you guys come back to Adelaide?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll play anywhere. A gig's a gig, you know. We're always happy to go to places. There's nowhere I would say no, I don't want to play there. But it's always things that are people always think that it's the band that decides where we're going to play, but it's kind of not really. It's everything else, like the logistics of the tour and how many gigs you can do. Obviously you try and play gigs at the weekends because then more people are going to turn up and they'll probably be more drunk and it'll be a better gig. And so yeah, it's not like we said, we don't want to go to Adelaide, but it's between the tour managers, the booking agents, the promoters, and all the people not actually us, that just ended up not happening, I guess. I don't think anyone, it's usually some reason like that. But for us, yeah, we would love to. I mean, I can remember playing Adelaide years ago. We had a really good time. We met a bunch of people there and went out drinking, and I still remember that. I don't know where it was. It was some theatre there or something. And then we did the Soundwave Festival. So yeah, I mean, hopefully next time it'll happen. I guess we're going to Perth this time, which we never usually do. So at least they'll be happy.
Well, I know you guys love doing festivals. Like I said, you came to Soundwave in 2015. As you know, there's no more festivals here in Australia. I want to ask, what was your experience, or what did you know about leading up to coming to Australia for that last Soundwave, which is the last Soundwave 2 years ago? Have you been collaborating with what was going on after the Soundwave incident that went downhill a couple of years ago?
No, I didn't really know much about it, to be honest. I didn't even know that it was not on again last year. So yeah, it's a shame because we always had a really cool time coming to that, and I would have liked to come back and do it again next year because we kind of had it. I think we did it every second year for about 2 or 3 years, and so that sucks that's not on. But hopefully something else will turn up and we can get over there. I mean, it's fun doing our own tour, but festivals is definitely cool too. So hopefully you guys can get something else together and we can do that.
I mean, I don't want to get into any political side of things of the Soundwave saga, but were you guys paid well for that? Did the promoter basically paid you guys the amount that you were after? Because the reports are coming out, there was a lot of bands still asking for money, and that was the downfall of Soundwave, the reason why they went broke, and there's no more.
Well, to be honest, I don't even really know. I wouldn't tell you if I knew, but because I personally, I don't have anything to do with the whole business side of the thing at all. We've got a manager that takes care of all that stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's not like we do a gig and then we go, okay, here's some money, let's share it out between us, and off we go. I honestly don't even know. I know that I just heard they had some problems with paying bands and stuff, but I never found out if we were one of them or not. But yeah, so can't really say, sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'd love to have you guys back here for a festival, but unfortunately there's no more festivals in Australia. And that's a question I ask. Do you prefer to come and do both, or you rather one or the other?
Yeah, both's fun. I mean, they're definitely they're both cool in different ways, you know what I mean? Festivals are fun because it's you're kind of part of being in a band. You have to always get new fans because you've always got some people you're always losing fans as well as gaining fans. I mean, it's nice to think, people always say, metal fans are the best, they stick around forever. Well, actually they don't, because I'm a metal And like I probably wouldn't go and see them every time they're in town. So that doesn't mean that I think they suck or anything. It's just that you can't. A lot of people don't want to. You don't want to watch the same movie a million times in a row either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like going to festivals is a good way to get some new people into your music, and you get to like have a good time and meet other bands and hang out and stuff. And doing your headline tour is fun because at least you can, you get like a bit more free stuff, like get some more free beer and and you get to see how many people actually like it. And people, then you got a whole audience that actually likes the songs instead of like half of them kind of going, oh, what the hell is this? So, but yeah, so it's good. It's good about everything. I just like the whole lifestyle of all of it, really.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you once again, Sam. I want to say to the fans, on the 19th of May, get the new DragonForce album, Reaching into Infinity, which you can also, at this moment, there's an exclusive pre-order now available, which can also be in the running to get a meet and greet offer at one of the selected dates that DragonForce are playing around Australia. And we cannot thank you so enough, Sam, for joining us, because this is just a dream come true. What I do in my spare time is talk about my love, metal, and seeing you guys perform live here back 2 years ago and seeing how hot it was and how you're all fed off one another. You guys are a showcase to see. And also I want to say to the fans, from June 20th, you're starting in Capital in Perth, and it rounds out on the 25th of June, which is a Sunday at the Brisbane at the Triffid. I want to say thank you once again, Sam, and if there's any last words you'd like to say to the fans, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on here, man. It's been really cool. And yeah, well, to our fans, I always just say, well, thanks for being our fans, I guess. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you all there pretty soon.
No worries. We'll look forward to seeing you when you're coming down to Australia, and we might have a drink or two.
Absolutely. Yeah, come and say hi if you're at one of the shows. Come and remind me who you are, and we'll do that for sure.
No worries. Well, you take care, and we'll catch you shortly.
All right, mate. Cheers. Thanks a lot. See you later.
All right.